here we go. And first question is, how do you describe your look, your music and your look? What is?
Our music and our look. Pick one.
Pick one.
Okay. Well, in terms of the music influencing the look or the look influencing the music, I'd have to say that they're completely separate. The look is just what we normally would wear on the street, is how we go and do a concert. So what you see is what you got. We don't dress up a certain way or anything like that. It all depends on the mood that strikes us. It's like anybody else. When they're feeling casual, they pull out that casual sweater that they pull over and come to interviews, or if they feel rock and roll, they'll wear their points. It all depends.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think that the two have anything to do with each other at all, really. Well, they do, in a sense, because as Gunnar said, it's basically how you feel, and you just reach in the closet and dress how you feel, I guess.
Okay.
Can we cut for a second?
Sure.
I'm going to answer this differently, okay? Sure. I'm prepared for this.
You have to be clear out there before
Okay, fine. Okay, here we go. Starting from the top again. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Which one is which here?
Gunnar Nelson.
Matthew Nelson.
Great. Okay, how would you describe your look, and is it an outgrowth of your music, or did it influence your music?
Okay. Rock and roll has always had an influence on how people dress. The pattern that people usually fall into is they see a certain performer on the stage wearing something they really like, and it usually takes about 3 months or so before it catches on. Our particular wardrobe, we're lucky because let's say we're in good with the people that know what's going to be hip in 3 months, and they dress us before everybody else finds out or figures out what the new trends will be.
Catches on, really.
Yeah. So basically, it's all for us. It's pretty much clothes from England. It's starting to get more into the Western look, which is with tassels and everything like that. But I think fashion also works around in a circle, as does music. It's starting to get back into pegged jeans and the like, and everybody, I guess, is now starting to have their Levi's pegged and.
Hey, a really nice English rock and roll suit isn't bad either.
Okay, Johnson's jacket is not bad either.
Okay.
What about now? We're talking once about what you wear is what you would normally wear on the street, or is it casual, or?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely what we wear. We don't really dress up. But this is how we always dress, and we never get dressed up for a show. How we dress always depends on the mood that hits us at a particular time, like anybody dressing.
Gunnar was kind of in a darker mood today, I guess.
I was in a dark mood today.
A dark Western mood.
Now, how you've sort of answered this, but do you think your look is important to your music? I mean, if you wore little suits and ties, do you think people would respect your music as much as now as what's happening?
Well, it's not so much, in our particular band, it's not so much a hook as, say, Devo, because Devo dresses a certain way for different albums and the whole thing. The way we dress, you can't really put a time limit on it. It's sort of timeless because, like we said, this is the way we always dress, and will always be the way we dress. The clothes changes from mood to mood, so it all depends.
It just really it happens to be what you're comfortable in, I guess, as far as to what you should wear.
Not just that, what you look cool in, too.
Yeah, I guess so, you know.
And are you both comfortable wearing that with you now, or do you wake up some mornings and go, this is too much to put on?
Oh, not really. I mean, it depends on what kind of occasion you're going to. Of course, if you're going to the beach, this would be too much, yes. But
I don't know, I like to wash my car in this sometimes.
Yeah, you never really I never really wake up in the morning to answer your question and say, oh, this is like not right, so I'm just going to dress down today.
How did this look you have now come about? You say you're in touch with people who sort of keep you ahead of trends, or a lot of English clothing. How did you get in touch with these people? Who are they, or what?
Well, the way the business works is by word of mouth, of course. Our engineer, Clive Taylor, has a wife who happens to own a very hip store called Let It Rock, which is down on Melrose. And they have a knack for finding the coolest clothes in the world about 3 months before everybody else in the world discovers them, which is nice because I think that's how everybody else discovers them, is they see a particular jacket or a particular suit on a performer they like on a well-televised show or something like that, and then they want to go out and buy it.
We did Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks back, and we were wearing suits similar to this for the last number we did on it. And this is just your standard 50s style rock and roll suit, which is, I guess, coming back. I just feel comfortable in it because it's what I'm used to. I guess my dad influenced my fashion as far as half the shirts I wear, like this one. This is my dad's shirt. And fashion, I guess, as Gunnar said, it works around in a circle. This is complete 50s, down to the shoes. These are DMs, your standard 50s air cushion sole shoes, and I feel great in what I'm wearing right now.
Okay. Let me ask you this. About your hair, let's be specific. Do you do your hair? Does somebody style your hair? Does your manager whip you to wear your hair this way?
No, not at all. It's just what we feel looks cool. We have a stylist that does our hair once every 2 or 3 months. Right now, we're pretty much in the process of growing it out, which is also coming back in. Shorter used to be hip about 2 years ago, especially for musicians right now. For your mainstream rock, it's just about shoulder length or so. You need a good foundation back behind your ears, and everything generally goes back, but shorter is definitely hipper than longer right now.
Say that again? Shorter is definitely hipper than longer?
I messed up.
Yeah, I know
A
you did.
flub. Okay, stop, reverse that.
As far as my hair goes, it's just, I kind of wanted to go for a 50s haircut, except just longer, I guess.
Okay.
And it happens to get a little bit tall. I gotta kind of squish it down a little bit once in a while, but that's about it.
Who were your, or were there any rock and roll fashion influences for you guys?
Ooh.
Any idols or?
Oh, you could go back and list all the major 50s rock and roll stars. You've got Elvis, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran. Not so much Buddy Holly because he kind of went for the square look, but that was also cool too. He kind of made that okay, which is pretty hip.
I think you could take everything from 1955 and go up, and that's the influence right there. Anything with rock and roll I had to do from 1955 up was great. You just had to take your pick.
What was really important is that the performers were gutsy with what they wore, and that they were not tied to what everybody held as the norm. You had to show a little bit of guts in what you wear.
How much influence do you think rock and roll fashion has on what kids are wearing today?
Everything to do with what kids are wearing today.
Wait, let me stop you for a second. Can you restate that and say rock and roll influences everything?
No problem. Okay. Well, my personal feeling, I feel that rock and roll has a world to do with what kids are wearing today. Then again, it depends on what kind of social clique that certain person is holding in, say, in high school. I'll use high school as an example because that's very social. But with a rock and roll crowd, of course, with the people that are trying to be cool, let's put it that way. Whether you want to go for the Midwestern Bruce Springsteen look, you want to go high tech or whatever, rock and roll has a lot to do with what people are wearing. Just everyday people are wearing.
Let's just put it this way. As far as, I'd say the music that people listen to has a lot to do with what they wear. As Gunnar said, you listen to Midwestern music, you tend to dress that way. I do think it has a lot to do with the way people dress now.
Okay. Let's say you just said that you think the music has a lot to do with what people dress now. How are kids dressing now?
Well, that's a tough one.
Actually, it's not that tough. We're
go
not
ahead.
that far past it.
Go ahead.
Well, gee, I mean, it depends.
Are we past it?
No, I
No.
hope I'm not. But it depends. When people are going to school, usually they're going for the more comfortable attire. No one really wants to get that dressed up. When they're going to parties, however, which are on the weekends, which every child goes to, of course they want to dress up and show off their new rock and roll suit and look as much like a musician as possible, which is cool. I mean, all it is falling in fashion.
Who do you consider some of the most fashionable rock artists today?
Fashionable as far as
clothing?
I know about clothing, but I mean, as far as what looks good or
Yeah, what's the hippest? Who are the leaders?
who are the leaders?
Ooh.
That's a tough one because everybody is so different, and there are so many great-looking entertainers out there now.
Name a few.
Name a few. Mick Jagger always pulls in the best-looking clothes. I think Huey Lewis dresses nice. He dresses real low-key. I think it's cool. And then you can go real way out. Madonna is a definite fashion setter. She started her own thing, I guess. I would have to say, though, that the people who really, I guess, are coming back into the eyes of everybody are the 50 stars. Elvis is an incredible influence on everybody. His attitude, especially, the way he carried himself. Boy, that was still is a big thing.
What about, you mentioned Madonna. Let's cut for a second here and wait for this bells to go away.
Which one, the atmosphere?
Lee, how much time do we have?
Dave.
Give me a 2-minute warning when we get down to it.
Okay.
Among women, you said Madonna is a fashion leader. Any other women in particular you think are hip? Pat Benatar, anybody? Tina Turner?
Tina Turner. I was just about. She's.
There you go. You like
Very-
that leather dress, don't you?
I like the leather dress. I really do. I like the leather dress.
Okay,
Tina, keep the leather. Like the
Okay.
leather.
listen to Gunnar here. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Tina's cool. Pat Benatar changes her look so often. I can't really keep up to date with them, but it's funny. She always has a knack to find very, very stylish outfits, no matter what album she's doing or what kind of look she's going for. She cuts her hair so often, I can never really keep up to date with it. But it always looks good.
I agree with that.
Anybody you can think of?
I like Pat. Boy, Marilyn Martin, I think she's looking great. Gosh, there's so many. LaToya Jackson always looks great. Diana Ross. I could keep going. I mean,
What about the Motown look? Do you think was hip, and is it hip now again, or the sort of when women got very formal dressing and the men were very sharp, or?
yeah, well, I don't know as far as that being. It depends on what music you're talking about. Because let's put it this way: anything that looks good never goes out of style. It really doesn't. Anything that people feel comfortable with, it doesn't really go out of style.
And one last question: do you have a favorite rock and roll sort of fashion era? Is there one time period you like, the 50s or the 60s or 70s or now or something, or could you put the 50s now or whatever?
Well, I love now because never
When you
have...
say my favorite fashion era is?
No problem. My favorite fashion era, that's a very broad question, and I'm going to have to answer it in a broad answer. Now I love, because the boundaries between styles of music have never been more vague. It's all a melting pot now, and I love that. There's not so much black artists and white artists and rock and roll and heavy metal. It's all starting to mix into one cauldron. It's great. I love that. Personally, I like the 50s and early 60s. I have a philosophy that everything works around in a circle, such as fashion. 50s kind of haircuts, and fashion is working around a circle, as does life. But now we're talking about clothes, so I'm going to have to keep it down.
Well, I'd have to say that my favorite fashion era would definitely be now, because I always like the present. And just looking back on things, all kinds of styles from every different era, I guess, is it's popping up everywhere. People are wearing 50s clothes, 60s clothes. 70s, was there a fashion in the 70s?
Polyester.
Big collars?
Big collars.
Big collar, no. I don't think people are wearing big collars and polyester now, so I would have to say 50s, 60s, and the 80s. There you go.
Okay. All right. I want to get some reaction shots here. Okay. First, what we're going to do is...
Your dog died.
Your dog died? What? Let's stay close on Matt. And Gunnar, just talk to me. If Matt first start looking at the camera, then you can go over and look at Gunnar and react to what he's saying. But Gunnar, let's say you talk about fashion again, about early fashion influences on your life and dogs that influenced you on your life.
Okay.
Or have I ask you this?
Does
Okay.
what he's,
Has fashion helped you get women?
Fashion helped me get. Of course. Peg jeans never hurt. Tight trousers, they're great. They cut off the circulation, but I mean, Tina Turner and her leather skirt. I do like that still. I'm still going to go on
he
about
likes
Tina's
that leather skirt.
Tina and her leather skirt. Yes, tight pants are a must in rock and roll.
Okay, Matt, keep looking at him.
Okay.
Keep looking at Gunnar. Okay, Gunnar, what else about your music? You have an album coming out soon. When's that?
Oh, the album's coming out in a couple of months, and right now we're working really hard down at the record plant.
And type of music, would you say there's a certain type of music to it, or is it rockabilly? Is it...
It's not rockabilly, it's rock and roll. It's broad, but the music's broad. We do rockabilly songs in the set, we do hard rock, we do ballads, it's great.
Okay, give me a smile there, Matt. Look at him and give him another smile. That's great. Okay, now we'll go on to Gunnar. Okay, yeah. All right. And now you keep looking at the camera, and when I tell you to, look over at Matt.
I take that whatever we say now doesn't really
It
matter.
doesn't really matter right now.
So you
Okay.
can curse and scream and whatever you want.
No, it's okay. I'll just.
You can't talk.
That's right.
I'll just comment on your shirt here, Gunnar.
Now, I mean, when you were growing up, I mean, were you dressed alike as
Only
twins?
as very small boys, and then my parents decided that it was too much of a pain in the butt to tell who was who.
Uh-huh.
So they started dressing us different and remembering what they dressed us at in the morning, and then they kind of got to
They
know
can't
us a
get
little.
separate. Yeah, keep looking at him, Gunnar. What else do you remember about being little as kids? I mean, were you into like cowboys back then, or were you
Cowboys.
for the cowboy look now?
Well, I don't know. I used to sit in front of the TV and watch everything and what.
Yeah, make them laugh. That's good. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about something a little serious. Tell me about what instruments do you play, Matt? on the album? Okay.
Okay, I play bass guitar, the zither. No, I play bass guitar and rhythm guitar, and I sing lead.
Okay. Give him a smile there, Gunnar. Give him a laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a car.
Boobies.
All right. Let's go to a two-shot here, like this, and you're just gonna nod knowingly as if I'm asking you incredibly pertinent questions. And so yeah. Let's not get too enthusiastic about this. Sorry. All right, and just a little laugh for the crowds back here. Yeah, that was a good one. All right, and that's and look pensive or thoughtful. Like, okay, I'm asking you, how did the
Okay, look up at that light right there and look pensive.
right dreaming off? Okay, and one final thing for a friend of mine back there who's deathly ill, the producer of Rock Influences.
Oh, my.
Say, get well, Pat.
Get well, Pat.
Thank you. Got it. All right.
Did I
Thank
put
you
this
very
in
much.
front?